Hook. Have you ever been told you don't belong in a place you've poured your heart, soul, and life savings into? Imagine standing on the edge of your own lake, your sanctuary, your family's legacy, only to have flashing police lights pull up behind you, officers stepping out, hands on their belts, as if you were a criminal trespassing on your own property. That happened to me. But what none of us knew then was that the people pointing fingers at me, the very homeowners association trying to drive me out, had been trespassing on me, on my land, my family's history, my life, for years. This is not just a story about land and water, it's about truth, courage, and reclaiming what's yours when everyone else insists you don't deserve it. The lake wasn't just water. It was where I learned to fish with my grandfather, where I spent long summers barefoot, where my father once carved our family name into a weathered dock post that still leans crooked but strong. It was a place that belonged to us, not because paperwork said so, but because every memory of my childhood echoed off its still surface. When my parents passed, the property became mine. It wasn't just real estate, it was an inheritance of love, labor, and legacy. I kept it up the best I could, mending fences, trimming the paths, fixing that stubborn dock. But when the neighborhood expanded around us, an HOA formed. At first, I didn't mind. Neighbors wanted to make rules about lawns, mailboxes, paint colors, that was their business. I figured the lake, tucked back where only my family had ever walked, was untouched by their little committee. But then came the looks. People strolling by who suddenly acted like my lake was a public park. Kayaks appeared that I never bought. Fishing lines were tossed where my father once taught me to cast. And when I gently told folks this was private property, they brushed me off with a smug laugh, saying, "HOA says it's common ground." Common ground? My chest burned every time I heard those words. That lake was as personal as a family album, and I felt strangers pawing through its pages. Then came the breaking point. One warm afternoon, I was fishing by myself, just a rod, a tackle box, and the quiet comfort of home. That's when a pair of HOA board members stormed down the path, phones in hand, filming me like I was the trespasser. Their voices were sharp, rehearsed. "You're not authorized to be here," one snapped. "This lake is under HOA jurisdiction. You need to leave immediately." I laughed at first, because what else could I do? But before I could even reel in my line, the sound of sirens cut through the air. They had called the cops. On me. On my own land. Standing there as the officers approached, hand resting on my old tackle box, I felt smaller than I ever had. Like an intruder in the one place I thought was safe. And yet, I also felt something else, the burning spark of defiance. The officers were professional but confused. They asked for ID, proof of residence. I gave them everything. I told them my family had owned this lake for generations. Still, the HOA board members waved their binders and papers, insisting they had maps, surveys, documents declaring it part of common grounds. It was humiliating, standing there, treated like a liar, while the place I grew up in was being debated like it was a chess piece. But humiliation has a way of waking you up. That night, I dug through old trunks in my attic. Dusty manila folders, yellowed deeds, maps drawn decades ago by county surveyors. And there it was, the original boundary lines. The lake, every inch of it, sat squarely inside my property. The HOA had no claim. None. Still, paper wasn't enough. I hired a lawyer, someone who knew land disputes. Weeks turned into months of hearings, filings, and heated meetings. Neighbors whispered, some siding with me, others glaring like I was selfish for wanting to hog the lake. The HOA tried everything: fake maps, emotional speeches about community rights, even bullying letters slid under my door. But the truth has a way of rising, just like the lake after a hard rain. When the county records office confirmed it, when the judge looked the HOA president dead in the eye and declared the lake was mine, I almost broke down. Not from relief, not even from anger, but from the sheer weight of carrying this fight alone. For years, they'd been trespassing on me. For years, they'd stolen what wasn't theirs. And now, it was back where it belonged. I walked down to the dock that night, the moon painting silver ripples across the water. I cast my line, felt the familiar tug, and whispered a promise to my parents and my grandfather: no one will ever take this from us again. Closing message. Sometimes in life, people will try to rewrite your story, to strip away what makes you whole, to convince you that you don't belong where you've planted your roots. But the truth, like water, always finds its level. When you stand firm, when you fight with patience and courage, no amount of lies or paperwork can wash away what's truly yours. So if you've ever felt pushed aside, if you've ever been told you don't deserve the very things that shaped you, remember this story. Stand tall. Hold on. Because sometimes, the fight for what's yours isn't just about property. It's about reclaiming your place in the world.